Alright guys, so okay, I had to make this video just to save you from some shadow mindset. So due to what I do, I get to work with producers and I get to work with vocals. So I'm kind of in the bridge. I am making the bridge. So I am the connection between the vocal and the producer. So I'm trying to make the vocals work for tracks. That's kind of what I do, right? So when I am experiencing all these stuff, so I decided to just make this video to save you all from the trouble that you're experiencing. 1 second, guys. Let me see why I hear. Okay, that's good. Okay, no problem. Okay, so this is a very important video. First of all, because there are a lot of producers think they just deserve vocals in their tracks, and there's so many singers think they should work with the best producer. 1 second, I'm gonna lower my headphone volume a little bit because I feel like I'm hearing too much S's. Okay, this is so much more natural. It sounds like my speaking voice. Isn't that great? Okay, so let's talk about this, right? First of all, in this video, I'm gonna talk about why a producer doesn't deserve to work with a vocalist. And at the end of this video, you're just gonna wake up. You're gonna wake up to a completely different world. You're just gonna wake up and you're gonna understand the reasons why it doesn't work. And probably this whole time you thought it was the vocalist, but probably it's you. So I'm gonna explain why, guys. Okay, first of all, so when you receive, let's say you're working with a vocalist, right? You receive, what type of file do you receive, right? WAV file. Let's just talk about all this stuff, guys. So when you receive the files from the vocalist, they're gonna send you WAV files, right? Or MP3, right? So first of all, you need to guide the vocals that you work with. Tell the vocalist that, oh, you want WAV, you want WAV for a WAV file, or you want 48 kilohertz. You want, tell them what type of file form you're looking for. But don't think it's gonna change. It's gonna change the quality of it. Just let's say if you're working on a 48, if the vocalist track the vocals with the 41, you're not gonna be able to change it to 48 because that's not the quality that you receive. So first of all, you understand, you make a good connection with the vocals that you work with. So you make sure everything is clear, and we don't have the technology to record it with 96. When we try to track the vocals, we don't have that yet, guys. Or do we have it? What type of home producer has a setting set up at home that records 96, right? So I have UAD, I use UAD, and the quality that I use for producing is 96. I love it. I'm not gonna give up on it. I just love it. But the vocal that I track is 48 hertz. For 48,000 hertz, right? That's the beat, that's the quality that I track the vocals for. That's the maximum that we can actually track. So you can research on this. So you should understand the difference, that even though your production is like 96, which I prefer, you don't have to prefer 96, but I prefer 96. Some of my favorite producers also prefer 96. So you have to be a little bit more clear on your expectations. So don't think when you drag the vocal sample at 48,000 hertz, when you drag them to your session, if your session is 96, that's not going to change the quality of the vocals. Your quality of the vocals are not going to improve because the file that you receive from the client is 48,000. So that's the number one problem with the home producers. They think if they work at a higher rate, right, higher sample rate, they think the vocals are going to sound great. The vocals are going to sound better because they're working at a higher sample rate. That's not going to happen, guys. Just like move on. That's just not going to happen. So I'm going to explain the reasons why you should look for more. Okay. Okay, so let's continue. Okay, so that was the first number. Let's say, okay, now we're done with this part. You receive the client vocals 48,000 hertz, right? Right, or 48. Right, this is what you receive. So now you're clear. Okay, so what is your job? Now you have the vocals in your track. What is your job? What do you think your first job is? Oh, where am I gonna place these vocals? That's your first job, right? That's where you should be. That's what you should be thinking. Immediately, in your mind, you should be space carving for vocals. Immediately, you should be doing that. If you don't do that, then you're never gonna be a professional producer. I'm sorry. Even like, you know, like all the professionals are doing that. But if you think, yo, you don't need to carve out any space for vocals, then I'm sorry, you're gonna be stuck as a beginner for the rest of your life. And ask David Guetta, you know, he is making EDM, he's making the most heavy EDM songs, and he is carving space for vocals. And what is your luxury? Who do you think you are? You're not carving any space for vocals. Who do you think you are? Right? Compare yourself to the big guys, learn from them. Again, your ego may get in the way. Your ego may say, oh, I don't need to carve any space for the vocals. Vocals should make my track beautiful, but my track already is good. No, bro. Yes, of course, I worked with some producers. Their tracks are incredible, but they are still working on making the vocals fit in their track. So they give up some space for the vocals. Space carving, guys. How can you make it your best weapon? Equalizer. You need to learn your equalizer. You need to place the sounds in a way that they won't get in the way of vocal. So as soon as you have vocals in your track, vocals is the queen. Vocals is the king, vocals is the queen. Your leads, your scenes, your drums, like I don't care. Like audience is not gonna care. As soon as you have vocals in your track, you have to make sure they are audible. If they are not audible, that means that they are just ear candy. Do you want your vocals to sound like ear candy material, or do you want actual vocals in your track? Do you deserve it? If you want to deserve it, then you're going to do space carving. Meaning, let's say, I'll just show you. No, let's say, I'll just show you guys, right? Super. Let's say this is the vocal signal, right? And I have like a synthesizer signal here. Let's say I have like a sustained synthesizer signal. Just to give you an example, I don't have a synth here yet. But again, I'm just like giving you an example. So you're just going to get your equalizer, grab any equalizer. So check this. So if your vocals live in this section, right, 1 to 5K, then you're going to make room here for that vocal. You're going to duck those synthesizer. Or you can do mid-side equalizer. You can just duck the mids because you know that vocals are going to be in the mids. So you can just duck stuff from the side to the sides. Or you can add like some plugin like Stage 1, 2. You can make them a little bit more wider so they won't get in the way. I'll show you a few tricks. So Stage 1 is one of them, right? You can just put like, so let's say first I duck a little bit to carve out a little bit space for the vocals, right? This is a static carve, guys. This is a static carve. I'm going to show you the dynamic carve later. Okay, so this is a Stage 1 plugin. When you put this, it makes things a little bit more spread, makes a little bit more wide. So the signal, one second, guys, I'm actually going to show you. Well, let me just show you all this stuff. This is going to be a long video. I don't even have like a good stuff to work with. But you know what? Let's just get this one. I'm just going to take this one here. Just to demonstrate, guys. Just to demonstrate, okay? Let's cut this one. Delete. Okay, so let's say we have like some keys, right? First thing is first, I'm going to grab some equalizer. I'm going to play this audio, but I'm not going to... I'm going to mute the output, so you're not going to hear it, okay? So even though I play the audio, you're gonna see it on the visualizer, but you're not gonna hear it. So imagine that I have this, let's say I have these two things, right, playing at the same time. So this is my, let's say, synthesizer or piano, right? This is like hitting here, right? I'm just gonna take it to maybe 12 just to demonstration. Actually, let's go here. Okay. Actually, this was not a good example, guys. Let's just like give another example. Nice. Okay, so you get the idea. Let's say you have this synthesizer. Let's say imagine that this is a synthesizer. First thing you need to do between 1 to 5K, you want to carve out some space. Sometimes you may need to do it. Sometimes you may not have to do it. So sometimes when you have like a low mid sections, low mid build up, that is gonna prevent the vocals to be the queen. So you may want to look at that too. If you have like a build up on the mid, just, you know, you can just manage it in a wise way. So that way your vocals can shine, because any build up here is going to take away from the intelligibility of the vocals. So you want to be intentional with the spectrum, right? You want to understand the spectrum. This is what I recommend to producers. Just understand the spectrum. Your equalizer is your best weapon. Okay, let's say you did some space carving here if you need, because sometimes you're not going to need. Sometimes you're just going to need to clean up some low end, so that way you can keep the intelligibility of the vocals, right? Okay, that's just one example. And another scenario on the equalizer, how you space carve. Let's say sometimes I see, you know, again, I receive files from vocalists and I see files from the producers, right? So when I receive the production files, like I see all that stuff like between 1 to 5K, I'm like, oh my God, like how is he gonna mix it? Like that's just pain in the ass. Like it's gonna be difficult for him to mix it. Most of the time, yeah, producers are most of the time guys and singers are most of the time girls. And they don't have that, you know, for especially if you have like a female voice in your track, like you gotta be really intentional. You really gotta like carve out some space for those vocals between 1 to 5K and 8K. If you want your vocals to shine, you actually want to duck a little bit off. You may have to duck a little bit off 8K sometimes. Depends on the song, depends on the production. Again, just watch out these areas. Like you want to carve out some stuff from that area so that way your vocal can take that spot. What happens like you have like so many bright elements in your mix? Right? What happens? Your vocal lives here, right? Your body of the vocal lives here, your intelligibility, your word, and the shiny top of your vocal also lives here. What happens when you have all those like percussion loops, like they're so bright? What happens when you have like synthesizers that are super bright in your mix? What happens? What do you do? Do you know what's gonna happen, guys? Those are gonna take away from the intelligibility of the vocals, from the airy vibe of the vocals, because you have too much of those brightness, and that's just gonna distract the listeners' ears, and they're gonna lose the vocals. They're not gonna be able to pay attention to vocals anymore. There's gonna be like a fight. Oh, is it vocals or is it the shakers? Is it vocals or is it the hi-hats? Is it vocals or is it the cymbals? Is it vocals or is it the synthesizers? Like, what is it? Which one do you want to pick? And each time the answer has to be vocals. That's why you don't deserve to work with vocals. Probably, again, this is like a harsh video, guys. Please don't get me wrong. Like all the producers that I work with, like, you know, so far, I respect all of your work, but sometimes like it's a little bit hard to explain this part to the producers, because I understand they just like, you know, they want their mix. They want their mix to sound great. I understand they just want to brighten up the stuff. Like, yeah, but where's the vocals, bro? You didn't carve out any space. Sometimes, please don't get me wrong, sometimes I receive something and then person is asking me, how is the mix? Right? Sometimes I get this question like, how is my mix? I'm like, this is not mixed yet. Like, because mixed means you carve out some space for the vocals. You made room for the vocals. That's where the vocal needs to live. This is the range, right? You made room or not? Did you make that room or not? You didn't make that room. You put all that shakers, all that stuff like bright, all that bright. Especially, this is like the one thing I get. I see a lot that sustain bright synthesizers. They put like sustained, all that sustained and bright synthesizers. Do you know where they live? Here. And they constantly playing. They are constantly playing. How do you think you're gonna make room for the vocals? These are constantly playing, and vocals are singing and stopping, singing and stopping. Vocals are dynamic. The synthesizers pads, like they're putting like bright pads to this section, and then they expect vocals to be heard. And then they're like, how am I gonna mix vocals? But bro, you have to cut out some stuff. You have to darken some of the instruments. That's what you gotta do. But I don't want to. That's my music. Yeah, okay then. Then you don't deserve to work with the vocalist then. That's just so simple to me now. Like, again, this video is to help out. This is not really like one of the educative content that I create here. It's to help out producers and vocalists to get out of the shadow mindset, like, bro, like, yeah, you want this, you want all of it, and you just want vocal to sit on here, here. You want the vocal to be here? Okay, good luck with that, I mean, there's no engineer in the world can make the vocals sound like they should be if you have all this stuff going on, right? So, yeah, let's just like set the rules very, very clear in the beginning. So don't expect vocals to be shine in your mix if you haven't done any of these right. Again, sometimes I receive like mix, like, and then the guy says like, it's always the guys. For female, it's very interesting. I shouldn't be separating like this, but females, interestingly, more coachable guys. Like, I don't know why guys are more difficult to coach, I don't know how they say it. But yeah, female engineers, like, yeah, female producer engineers, like a little bit more easy to coach. Like when you tell them, they understand. Okay, they're okay, yeah. I am the same way, by the way. I'm like, okay, so the mentors tell me this. I'm like, oh yeah, you're right. But the guys, like, they just want to push it, and then they're like, oh my god, like, how is the vocal sound, bro? Vocals don't sound. It's not there. You didn't do any mixing. Now, how is my mix sound? Well, not mixed. That's how it sounds like. Because if the vocals are not there, I wouldn't consider it as mixed. I'm sorry. Because it's so easy. Let me show you. This is so easy, guys. All the producers, so you got a piano song, right? Oh, you duck the lows because the bass and kick is gonna be there. Oh, you duck the mids, or most of the time don't. And then you push the highs like this, and then you expect vocals to shine. I'm very much impressed. And you think, like, this is like a basic curve that you can apply to any stuff. Most people apply this to any stuff that they have. And then this is just instrument. It's easy, right? You can just put some similar curve, and you can make some sound mixed. You can make it sound mixed by just putting like a simple curve on any instrument, and that won't work for vocals. This is not the scenario for vocals. I'm gonna get into EQ and vocals later on, but you have to understand this. Just like you can just create some simple curve for any instruments in your track and try to do the same thing. Good luck with that, because you're gonna have to carve out spaces. Like, you're gonna have to carve out some resonance, like remove some resonances. You're gonna do a compressor. You're just gonna have to stabilize the whole thing. Like, it's just too much work. But you have to be willing to do the work if you want to deserve to have vocals in your track. Again, you can totally get away with basic curves, but for vocals, you're not gonna be able to get away with it. So you have to learn your tools. You have to learn your equalizer. That's one of the biggest reasons that you forget the space carving if you. Right? You didn't create any room for the vocals. You didn't find the masking frequencies, right? Masking. You didn't detect the masking frequencies. You didn't detect what is taking away the attention from the vocals. You didn't define what is going wrong. You haven't defined it yet. You think vocals are not fed. Vocals are not working in this track. Should I change a vocalist? No. Just do your job. You don't have to change a vocalist. Just do your job. If you do your job, define what is wrong in the mix in terms of vocals, in terms of creating space for vocals, then you don't have to change the vocals. Like, you can make it work. It's very interesting that I received this It's very interesting, guys. I have to tell you. So I received this file, right? It was recorded with USB microphone. The performance is beautiful, right? The dude recorded with the USB microphone. It sounds great, right? And guess what? The producer just like made the vocals shine by really basically gain automating. The gain automating, I'm gonna get into that later, but gain automation was so good, the vocals were actually consistent. I could hear all the words. Because the gain automation, basically, I figured that the dude actually spent time on gain automation because like there's no way, like this is like a USB microphone. Like, how are you able to make it so nice and audible? Because you did the work. Producer did the work. And then on the other hand, I get like a project file, and then like, the dude didn't mix the vocals, like, and then they're like, vocals sound wrong. Of course, you haven't mixed them yet. You know, of course they sound wrong. That's the reason you haven't mixed them. You haven't done anything yet, right? This happens all the time. Yeah, producers, I swear to God, like at least a week, a producer is approaching me like, how is the vocals? I'm like, vocals not mixed yet. How is the vocals? Vocals not mixed yet. Meaning you haven't carved any space, and I'm gonna get into the rest of it. Again, I wanted to like make this video just to save you guys some time, because you need to get out of that shadow mindset. You have to get out. You don't know how much you don't know. It's called Dunning-Kruger effect. So you have to be open-minded to say that, hey, maybe there's something I don't know. Maybe there's something I don't know. I shouldn't be having like producer ego. I experience this a lot too. Very interesting. Vocalists don't have that much. The producer ego is like ridiculous. Most of the time, producer ego ruining the whole thing. Because again, they don't want to carve out space for vocal. That's again. And just to be honest, I don't discuss. If somebody is at this point, if a producer is at this point, no space carving for vocals, I don't discuss the rest, guys. That's simple. I don't really discuss, because there's no point. There's no point. You didn't do any space carving. So good luck with that. And then, so okay, that's it. You're going to do space carving. You should be doing space carving. You should understand the tier top. As soon as you have, again, I'm just going to repeat this. As soon as you have vocals in your track, that's number one, guys. That's top tier element. That's your lead. That's your number one. Any part of the vocal that I don't hear the vocals, it could be like a verse or it could be a chorus, any part of the vocals that I'm not able to clearly hear, is like being ducked in the mix. Like I hear everything else. I hear the guitars, I have the weird synths, I hear everything else but the vocals. Then good luck with that. So okay, also you should understand like human psychology. Like when we hear vocals, when we hear human voice, we normally attach to human voice. Yes, we like the instrumentals, we get attached to those too, but the human voice, like we feel the connection to, that's just different. We feel the connection to human voice. Most of the listeners do. And if you don't want to create that connection through vocals, then that means that you're missing a huge opportunity here. You're missing a huge opportunity, because of all these DJs, producers that I know, they're craving vocals, to have vocals in their tracks. And what is your excuse? You have vocals and you can't space carve for vocals? Like, what is your excuse? You already have a signal to start working with, and you just don't want to carve out space. Good luck. Okay, great. Again, I just discussed this first one most of the time with the producers. And if they don't understand, then I just don't discuss the rest. But today I'm going to discuss all the elements, guys. Okay. Today I'm going to discuss all the elements with you. Again, if you make it to this far, like, great progress. Okay, so let's talk about this one, guys. Okay, we actually talked about this one. Understand the importance of vocals in a track. Why do you think, again, we talked about it. Why do you think vocals are so important in a track? Because human brain makes a connection with the vocals. That's how human brain works. And second reason, because like you have to understand the importance of vocals, and you should give a little bit more importance, but that shouldn't be audible. That should be a fixing approach. What does that mean? fixing approach. What does that mean? You're fixing vocals. I mean, sorry, you're fixing the rest of the stuff. You're also fixing the vocals. So you create this vibe on importance of the vocals. So when I say importance of the vocals, most people may think that, oh, maybe I should just turn up the volume of the vocals. Bro, really, I wish it was that easy. But sometimes it is that easy. You just turn up the volume of the vocals and you're good. But most of the time it's not, you know. So importance of the vocals, this is the mindset you have to understand. When you have vocals, you have to give a little bit more importance. Meaning, I'm not saying that just put like 6 more dB on vocals, make it super laudable and turn everything down. That's not what I'm trying to say. What I'm trying to say that you have to pay attention to the consistency of the vocals. Consistency meaning is like with the level wise. I'm gonna talk about it later on, but if you create this level wise consistency, and if you create this EQ space carving, then your vocals are gonna find their place in your mix. So they're gonna get a little bit of importance at least. Another reason I say importance of the vocals, because vocals are the weakest as vocal audio signal. Muddiest signal as vocals. Again, that's the most muddy signal that you can get is vocals, guys. Literally. You can get like a lot of low mids with the vocals, a lot of low and rumble with the vocals. Like they shouldn't even be there, you know, like, yeah. And most inconsistent. Most dynamic, right? So vocals are the most difficult signal to start with anyways. Most difficult signal to start with already. Because it's changing the way we sing, the way we move away from the microphone, the way we get closer to the microphone, the way we sing, the way we deliver the performance, like makes it the most complicated signal to work with, right? This is the reason vocals need to get attention as a producer, mixer, because they're the most complicated signal to work with. You get a vocal sample, it's just super complicated. How are we gonna fix it? I'm gonna explain those stuff too, but you understand the importance of it because the importance comes from the complication. Super complicated to mix vocals, that's why it's important. So when I say importance, doesn't mean that, oh, just turn up the dB or cut all the equalizer from the other instruments. You're gonna carve out space for vocals in a very delicate way, guys. You have to do it in a delicate way. I'm not saying when you just like cut the whole thing, that's not how space carving works. That's just like killing your mix for the sake of vocals. That's not space carving. Space carving has to be delicate. Again, I'm going back to number 1. Without killing your mix. Take these notes, guys. I'm seriously, like, I'm not going to share this stuff again, right? Again, this is not like an education type of stuff. I'm just like helping people, that's all, right? This video particularly is for this. That's the reason like I wanted to make this one. Okay, delicate space carving without killing your mix. Don't just go put a track spacer on every single element in your track and expect things to sound good. And then don't come back to me like, oh my God, like I did what you said to me and now it sounds awful. Of course, you put a track spacer in on every single channel and duck in everything dynamically? Really? That's just lazy work. Space carving can't be lazy. Lazy. Has to be delicate. Gently. Right? These are the stuff. If you didn't have any vocals in your track, then you don't have to be gentle. You can just put clippers, you can just put stuff, you can just put equalizer, you can do whatever you want, basically, you know. Seriously, and people are gonna be, yeah, that's nice. Yeah. As soon as like the quality of the mix comes from how vocals being audible. Are they audible or not? Two things, guys. So as soon as vocals are not audible, I hit skip, audience hit skip, listeners hit skip, everybody is gonna hit skip. The vocals are not audible. I can't hear them, right? They're getting lost in the mix, they're coming back, getting lost. Yeah, we hit skip, guys. You have to know this. So don't have the producer ego thinking like, oh, I have the greatest music. Yeah, but vocals are not there. So if you don't, again, don't work with vocals if you can't do this basic stuff, right? Okay, so again, importance of the vocals comes from the complicated signal to work with. So that's how it makes it like really difficult to work with. And if you don't understand this, then you don't deserve to work with vocals. Just make instrumental tracks, make experimental tracks, put every single sound element in the universe in your track. Just don't put vocals, bro. So simple. Stay away from vocals because you can't. You can't afford to have them in your mix. You don't understand the importance of it. You don't understand the complicated part of it. You don't get it. Again, we go to Dunning-Kruger effect. You don't know how much you don't know. Let me quickly explain that too. The more you know, you think you know less. But the less you know, you think you know the best. I always like use this terminology just to help out people. Just go ahead, like new window, go ahead. Dunning-Kruger effect. Please go search this, guys. Look, okay, this is the diagram. Look, the more you know, you think you don't know less. You know less. But the less you know, you think you're the greatest. That's the reason, like a lot, look, ignorance, peak. This is where you are, right? This is where you are. Guys, this is the spot you are. That's why you shouldn't work with vocals, because you think you know everything already. You think you got the production figure out, and that makes you think that you know everything. That makes you think that the availability of being able to make good music with all the VSTs on our DAWs, all this stuff make you think you are the greatest producer, because now you can just do all of it on your Mac, on your DAW, and you don't have to learn how to play instrument. You don't have to learn anything. You don't have to never compose any drums before in your life. You just grab the loops from Splice. You think you call yourself a producer, and then you think you know everything, and then you just don't give, you never mixed a real signal before in your entire life, means a real signal, vocal signal. Look at this. This is, you never mixed a real signal, right? This is what you're going. This is the real signal. This is like audio signal. This is real audio signal. You never mix it. So, okay, now you get it, right? This is where you are. If you think, yeah, okay, I'm just not gonna continue. Okay, so you get my point. Understand the importance of vocals in your track. If you have an understanding that I don't recommend going to the rest, you can stop the video now. You don't have to listen to the rest. Understand the importance of vocals and come back to the same video. I'll put some time steps for you guys, so don't worry. Okay, 3. Oh my god, yeah. You got no clue. What do you think? What do you think about equalizers, guys? What is it? So when you have an equalizer, you have, like, how often do you use your equalizer? Meaning, how often do you remove, check this, resonances? How often, how good you are at actually producing like it sounds mixed. How good you are at this. Producing like sounds mixed. Meaning you put an equalizer, right? Let me just explain this to you again. Oops. Meaning, right? So let's say you have like a ProQ equalizer. Just gonna grab that. ProQ Mm-hmm. Come on, it just takes too long. Pro, yeah, just my button. Okay, ProQ, right? So let's say you learn this technique to just like remove resonances, right? And you just like at 20 times in a form, right? You go to your instrument and cut all those resonances because that's what they show you on YouTube, right? That's what you do. As a beginner, you think sometimes I've seen like people. 1 second, guys. People doing like 20 of these. Right? Because what they do, guys, if you boost it like this, everything is going to sound like a resonance and you don't have the ears. You haven't developed the ears to say that if it's a good, like if it's a resonance or not, because you just boost it and now it sounds like a resonance. Now you just remove it and you got 20 of these. You think this is resonance removal? This is actually killing your entire harmonics, like, because you're gonna have like you're gonna have loudness on each of your harmonics. Like how many harmonics you have, like you're gonna have that loudness already. So you don't know how to equalize things. You think this is the way to equalize things. I will totally quickly go over the equalizing that you're supposed to do. I mean, you're equalizing mindset that you're supposed to understand, but that's not the point of today's video. But I can totally like give you like a broad perspective. Maybe let's say you're gonna like boost. Let's say you're gonna remove resonances. The resonances you're gonna see here, they're like more narrow, and resonances you're gonna see here, they're more wider. They're more wider like this, and this one's more narrow, guys. You're gonna see them like more narrow, right? Just understand how the spectrum works. You're gonna see. So when you just remove resonance from, just do it more narrow. When you remove resonance here, you may actually try a few things. If you just cut it like so narrow, you're just gonna create like weird different resonances. So this is like maybe you need to use like a multi-band compressor to remove all that stuff. And it's not even a resonance maybe. You don't understand the resonance. You don't understand the difference between the fundamental and the resonance. And when it comes to resonances, there are good resonances, there are bad resonances. Bad resonances are going to sound like out of tune, but the good resonances, they're going to sound like they're in key, but they're just a little bit louder. So what you want to do, like, you just want to like be a little bit more gentle on them, right? But if it's like you see like a spike like this and it sounds really out of tune, then you're just going to be, you can be, depends on where you are in the spectrum, you can be a little bit more narrow like this. You can be a little bit more narrow like this. If it's like around here, be narrow. You can talk a little bit harder actually, because not. But for this one, like you want to be, I'm not going to give you like a whole ProQ class, guys, but this is like, you think you just do this, then you know equalizer? No, you don't know how to use your spectrum. You don't know how to use your equalizer. You look at the analyzer, you just duck all that stuff. That's not removing frequencies. You have to match your eyes with what you see, match your ears with what you see, and you have to make the decision. You have to train your ears for that. But of course, if you are the greatest producer in the world, you shouldn't be even training your ears, you know. Yeah. I'm sure you already have the best ears, so I shouldn't be making this video for you, yeah. Again, anyway, so that's another interesting stuff that producers overlooking at vocal producers. But that actually means that I figured out the producing part. Now I just moved on to the vocal production. So, you know, you get the idea, right? Anyways, not gonna like talk more about this. Okay, so you get the idea. You got no clue how to, you got no clue on equalizer. You don't know your spectrum. Lack of spectrum moves, lack of experience on complicated signals. All you know on your ProQ, you just carve out, just duck the lows, that's all. And you remove resonances. You don't even know if they're resonances. You don't define, is this a good resonance? Is this a bad resonance? Why am I removing this? You don't think about those stuff. You just remove because you saw it on a YouTube video, right? Anyway, so you got the idea. Okay. Okay, this is very important. Okay. Another reason that, yeah, guys, like, you don't deserve to work with a vocalist is because you don't know how to gain automate. You don't know how to gain automate. But you pay for it. Let's say you get Nectar Leveler. Let's show you all of those, guys. Check this. You don't want to gain automate. That takes too much time. You know, like, you're the best producer in the world. You shouldn't even be doing this. The vocals should come to you perfectly anyways, right? But you're producing in your mother's basement. You have all this ego, and you think like vocals already should come to you processed and clean and nice and polished. That's what your expectation is, right? Because like, oh, you were able to make this music in an hour. Now you expect vocals to do the same thing for you. Good luck with that. Because when I produce a song, vocals and vocal production takes like, let's say, imagine 3 weeks, and I finish the production in 2 hours, guys. I have records like that, seriously. The last remix competition, I finished the production like 6 hours. And it was like a drum and bass production. I've never done drum and bass before in my life, right? So you think, oh my God, like, just not gonna talk about this. Okay, so you don't wanna gain automate, right? You don't wanna gain automate. You just grab this Nectar Leveler, right? Just grab this Nectar Leveler, auto level, right? You grab this Vocal Rider from Waves. You paid for it, right? Isn't that great that you paid for it? Now you can totally like use it, that you don't have to do all the work. Yeah, there's that Vocal Rider. Yeah, okay. Here, now you have all of these, right? And X Rider, pay for those. By the way, the reason I pay for those because I use them for, I know how to use them. That's why I pay for those, guys. You don't have to use them, so don't pay for them because you don't have to use them. So you have all these tools, you just put it on and you expect vocals to shine, right? You don't want to gain automate, but this is not gonna do the work for you if you are. This is just gonna be like this is just not gonna do the work for you. It's just gonna basically level the stuff. You're still gonna need to do manual automation. You still have to think like a human and decide, yeah, but my leveler did it that way. Remove this word, but I want this word to punch through a little bit more. So what I'm going to do, I'm just gonna put like an auto gain utility. Yeah, now we're talking about the work that you don't do, right? Let's say, guys, like, let's say this. You don't want to just do this, but you want this end of the tail to be like a little bit more emphasized, right? Can a leveler plugin do that for you? No. This is your decision. You have to do this. You have to do this. If you want impactful vocals, do this. If you don't want impactful vocals, impactful stuff, if you don't want vocals to touch to people's hearts, then you don't have to do this. Then you can expect vocals to be super consistent and nice and polished. If somebody has super polished, consistent, amazing vocals already, why would they want to work with you? Honesty talks here. Why would they even want to work with you? Because do you know how hard it is to find vocalists? Do you know how hard it is to find somebody that can actually write a song for you? You have no songwriting skills. You don't know how to write lyrics. You don't know how to write songs. You have no arrangement skills. You just drag some loops, put them on top of each other. You just grab some synths, and then they just do the work for you. And you think you're the best. You're not. So this is another reason that you don't deserve to work with a vocalist, because you don't understand it. Again, the beginners, you know, probably like I never want to judge the beginners because like everybody is on their own journey. But I was a beginner too, but I was aware of how much I didn't know. I never got into this one. Dunning-Kruger effect. I never got into that one. I always like, oh my God, they probably know something I don't know. This is the question I always ask myself. I highly recommend people to ask this. They probably know something I don't know. What is it? This is the question I ask myself the entire time. This is how I made myself a good producer. I wouldn't say great, but good producer. Actually, I could say a great producer because I'm accessible. I work cheap, you know. As an artist myself, I could just like get the work done for myself, like very cheap in a fast way, you know, like they're super easy. Yeah, just give me a dinner. I just produce a whole song for you, and we win like a contest and all that stuff. Yeah, just joking here. Anyways, where are we, guys? Okay. Lazy to automate. So you're lazy to automate. You just want tools to do it for you. Good luck. good luck. You can create consistency. Yes, tools are gonna give you. Tools are, oops. Tools are gonna give you consistency. Human touch is gonna give you something AI can't. See, this is something AI can't give you. This is where you are so important. All of you guys are like so scared of, like, all of you guys are so scared of AI, but this is where you stand out. Because now you're gonna know like which words to emphasize more, maybe which ones you want them to sound vulnerable. Like, you make the decision, you call the shots here. And this is where you are powerful and you make that decision. You want this tail of the word a little bit louder. And after you apply the leveler, you can still like go automate stuff like that. Yeah. You can actually, I mean, you can still use your levelers. I use them for background vocals. Because the background vocals, they just need to be consistent. They don't have to be like getting my attention, creating that feeling. They don't have to give me the beauty of the performance. They just have to be consistent under the lead vocals. So I heavily use them for the background vocals. So you can do the same. But for the lead vocals, you're gonna need some automation. So don't be lazy on the gain automation. Don't expect tools to do the work for you. Yes, they're gonna do the work for you, but they have limitations, right? And then you have to, if you're a good producer, you will know those limitations. You're gonna be aware of those limitations. At least you're gonna have the ears to be able to understand those limitations. And you're gonna go to gain automate, probably, if you're an experienced producer. If you understand the importance of the vocals, then you're gonna probably gain automate. If you don't, then you're not going to gain automate anything, probably. You're not going to, probably, like, if you're watching this video and you've never done any gain automations in your life, then you can totally, like, start from scratch. Totally go ahead, start from scratch, because that just means that you're probably like a beginner. Because sometimes I do hear like productions like, where's the gain automation here? Where's the volume movements? Like, they don't know anything about automation. Like, you don't understand automation. Power. If you don't know the power of automation in your song, in your multi-tracks, in your vocals, right? If you don't know gain automation, like especially gain automation or volume automation. By the way, volume and the gain, these are exactly the same things. The gain is just the let me just explain. The gain is like the input of the signal. Volume is the output of the signal. These are actually both the same thing. But in music production, most like do like gain automation, and the volume automation is like at the end, we want to volume automate everything with the processing on. That's called volume automation. Anyways, let's not get into those stuff. But if you need to understand automation, the role of automation in your multi-tracks. Did I say multi-packs? Tracks in your vocals, in your song overall. Sometimes even the producer like automating the chorus section a little bit like high, like more louder, like 2 dB or maximum, not 2 dB, I wouldn't say 2 dB, but like sometimes like 1.5 dB or 1 dB is like most common. They just like increase the volume of the chorus. 0.5 is so much better. Like, you know, it's just less audible. The more you make it less audible, more professional you are. The more your moves are subtle, they're more impactful actually. So you have to understand, of course, you're gonna need to develop those ears to tell those differences before and after. A to B, C to D, X to Z, Y, Z, you know. You're gonna be able to hear you need to be able to hear the difference. Okay, let's just talk about laser gain automate. Understand the power of automation on your vocals and on your other instruments. Sometimes I receive like some files, like everything is always, you have to know this, like you have to listen. Everything is always playing at the same time, right? The same loudness. Everything. But I'm talking about everything. It's not just one thing. Everything is always, just gonna type it down. Everything is always playing at the same time with the same loudness. Means amateur. That's it. This is you. I mean, if you, I mean, I won't say it's you. Uh, I of course I don't want to like say it like that, but if this is you, everything is always playing at the same time, with same loudness. If you're that type of person, you don't understand the power of automation, then you probably wouldn't be able to understand the power of gain automation on Vocus. You probably think we are doing this just to get consistent vocal, lead vocal. That's what you believe. We're not only after consistency here, guys. We are here. Yes, we want consistency, but second thing, you're missing a point. One, you want consistency. Yeah, you can get that consistency with a leveler plugin. But two, impact, human touch, because you're gonna know which word is gonna hit more, should hit more. You're gonna feel it. It's your taste. Develop your taste for it. Taste for it. Taste. And how you develop that taste? By gain automating, by practicing. Taste, practice, experiment. Ask people. Experiment. After experimenting, always ask people, hey, is it good or is it not? And they'll tell you what it is. Don't ask your friends and family. Ask to people who are working in this sector, and people who they can be like super brutally honest with you with these stuff. But you have to be honest with yourself first. You have to leave your ego. As soon as, again, I always say this to my people and the people that I coach in the past. I always say this, like, leave your ego. Like, you enter your studio, right? Enter in the studio. Where's your ego? At the door. Leave your ego at the door. I wish this was like a nice slide. That's normally how I teach, with a nice slide, but I don't have the PowerPoint to find here. I don't want to deal with it. I just wanted to make this quick video for you. Okay, so leave your ego at the door, right? Hang it there. They can that can enter your studio. If that enters your studio, then you don't need to watch the rest of the video, because that's gonna be harsh. Again, this is like a harsh video to show you you're wrong. You're wrong. 10 reasons why you don't deserve to work with a vocalist. 10 reasons why you shouldn't. 10 reasons why. I'm not saying 10 reasons why you should quit music. No, you continue, but you have to give a little bit of respect to vocalists that, like, I don't understand why I always like get such like vocalists come to me with questions like, how can I make it better? And I never get this question from producers. So I don't understand, like, what is it, guys? Like, what is it? How can I make it better? I want that question from the producers instead, right? Anyway, so, okay, let's go. No clone vocal placement. Okay, this is very interesting. Have you ever done any panning before? Have you ever done any panning on anything? Have you ever done any audio pan? Like something is panning to the left and right. Have you ever done any panning automation? There's some plugins for that, like Pancake, Shaper Box. You know, there are like so many different plugins just to like help you to create those panning automations. My favorite one, Panman from of course Soundtoys. Soundtoys is just my best tools. Like, I use it all the time, nonstop. I use it on every single channel, almost, ridiculously. So what happens, guys, when you have like a mono signal? What is this? Mono signal of vocals, right? Right. It means that this is gonna be in the middle. What happens if there's something else in the same frequency range? Let's say another instrument in the same frequency range, right? Let's say vocals are here, and your instrument also is here in the same frequency range. What happens, guys? What can you do with it? Of course, you're gonna try to like carve out some space if you did your, work. If you trust me about this, look at it, see if you can get away with it. That's very important. Don't kill the whole thing. Don't kill it like, I'm just gonna do the equalizer and then I'll be done. No. Sometimes you do this like with the equalizer, and sometimes you're gonna have some tools to automatically pan it for you, like Panman. right? Or any stock panning tool, guys, literally. Or even the chorusing tools. Let's just write it down. Pan, chorusing. These are all like placement stuff. Like they're like placing your sound in the stereo field. Meaning could be on all the way to the left, could be on all the way to the right, as long as they're not in the middle, because vocal in the middle. So how can you get something out of the way of the vocals? You can use a panning tool. This is the one I use nonstop for everything. I just lower the rate. I just make things move. That way they don't stay there consistently in the stereo field. They move to the left and right in a very like short way. See? So now it's still in the middle. This is what we do to the this is not what we do to the vocals, guys. This is what we do to the instrument that we layer it with the vocals. Most of the time, you can totally get away with it. Maybe you won't even have to. Again, this is like a stuff maybe it could be considered as advanced. You maybe don't even need to, like literally, guys, you maybe don't even need to do the space carving, like because the vocals is if the vocal is mono, then why not put them onto the side or why not make them move? Moving them. That's number one strategy. Second, stage one. I mean, I'm always gonna give you this plugin as an example because I'm not doing any crazy widening plugins except the Infect the Mushroom Wider. So you can do this. You can just add a little bit depth, and you can get that stuff out of the way of the vocals, so they can have. You can do mono spread if your source is mono. You can just make it mono. You can even phase recovery on this one, so you can just place it in a different way in your stereo field. That way, that can be heard. So this is going to be static. This is going to be static placement, right? Placement, right? This is like this. This is going to be static, but this one is dynamic. So you're going to decide which one. But if you don't want to do anything about it, then you're going to have to do the equalizer. And sometimes you have to do all the three. Sometimes, depends on the mix. Just know your tools. Know that no clone vocal placement. If the vocal is mono, the vocal you have is in mono. Imagine you have synthesizer. Your synthesizer is in mono, and you put a widening plugin on the vocals. Which one is gonna get the attention, guys? I'm telling you seriously. Like, which one do you think is gonna get the attention? Probably the synthesizer, because it's mono. It's in the up front, and the vocals you just put like a widening. Anytime you put like anything like this, any widening plugin, we use this stuff most of the time to get stuff out of the way the vocals. So I understand most producers like right now watching this thing, they probably use this stuff just to make things sound like wider and nicer, but we actually use this stuff in vocal production as a vocal rescue method. Vocal rescue method. That's what we do. Completely, just to, like rescue. How do they write it? Rescue. Meaning, we rescue the vocals from your crazy synthesizers, like mono, bright, especially the brights. And like, again, most of the time, like I ask this question to myself: like, how is this dude is gonna fix this, mix this whole thing? Because he's got all these bright synths. He's got all this bright synth. He has got no space carving for the vocals. He doesn't understand the space carving. He doesn't know automation. He doesn't know the panning. Like, he doesn't know overall mixing. Right? It happens sometimes. Some producers don't know that, and that's why their mixing prices are gonna like be expensive. Because imagine like I get like a session with this, and I have to gain automate all the vocals. I have to like really like I have to do all the work. It's gonna take like hours, right? Okay. Okay, so now let's get back. So, okay, rescue methods. We use the vocal placement. We go attack to other instruments. We put like some widening plugin, chorusing plugins, like tall chorus is really good. You can get stuff out of the way of vocals if you just add like tall chorus, or if you add like pan man, you can just pan to the left and right. You can get stuff out of the way of the vocals this way. Or you can get like ambient type of short reverbs just to place them back in the vocals. Yeah, these are the stuff that you apply to the other instruments, just to keep the vocals consistent, just to keep the attention on the vocals, just to rescue the listeners, because the listeners, they wanna be able to consistently listen to the vocals, right? We need their focus on the vocals in different parts of the section, especially if again, I'm not gonna get into the same topics, but you get the idea, right? Okay, so again, you can use this stuff. No clue on vocal placement. You put everything in mono, like you just don't know any of these tools. I never applied any of these tools just to place stuff back in the mix, get the things out of the way vocals. If you don't know, means that you don't know the placement of the vocals. You don't know where vocals are taking place in the stereo field. So we were talking about where they were taking place in the spectrum, right? But now we're taking a look at where they take their special place, special spot in the stereo mix, in the stereo field, between left and right. What's going on between left and right? Where is the vocals? And what should I do to get stuff out of the way the vocals? Right? Anyways, let's go to the next one. Oh my god, am I recording this? Yeah. Oh wow, I've been recording already 1 hour. I hope it was recording. Let me see. Let's go. Okay, basic vocal production knowledge. Okay, so let's say you have basic. What is vocal production? You know what? That's just gonna take a super long video. But I just want to say that like some words can be emphasized. Of some words, you just grab a vocal and you have one layer of vocals, right? Let's say you have one layer of vocals and you just want. It's crazy. You have one layer of vocals and they're in mono. There are no layers in the spectrum to back these vocals up, and you just want vocals to sound great. How are you gonna do it? How are you gonna do it? You show so much love for the rest of the track, and you don't know vocal production. You don't know how to thicken a layer. We have some different methods. They emphasize some words with maybe some harmony programs like Nectar. I show you. So Nectar, just to show you. Let's say you like go to this harmony section, and you would just want to like add like something like, you know, just high pitch instrument that you want to like add like a high pitch instrument. You just go to 12 and then you lower the gain of it, so you tuck it under the vocals, so they're not able to hear that. Audience is not going to be able to hear that, but they're going to feel like, oh, lead vocals are thick. Now it sounds more thick, so we use this. And sometimes we do this like with the low octave. Just depends on the register of the singer. So sometimes we do this with low octaves. Check this. We just put it in the center again, just to layer with the lead vocal. We don't put it on the sides. Sometimes we can put it on the sides, but this one, if this low octave is more normally, most used scenario is just like put it in the center, duck it, so that way it will just find its place in the stereo field, and it will just be here. So your normal vocals are like, let me show you. 1 second. So your normal vocals are here, right? And your octave low vocals are here. So we are filling the spectrum, we're getting attention, we're filling it with some vocals, we're getting some thickness. Because the reason you don't have the thickness in your vocals, they're not being audible, everything is like overbearing, and you have the vocals like this. You have your vocals start here. How are you gonna get the thickness? Add some layer here, right? When you add the low octave, this is how you expand in the spectrum. This is how we do it. This is not great. You have all these tricks. So these tricks are vocal production tricks, and you probably don't know vocal production tricks. That way you can't make your vocals stand out in the mix. You receive one layer of vocals from the singer, and you just expect it to sound great. Well, even if it's like Adele, even the Adele has like a lot of vocal production, guys. I'm sorry to say this, but yeah, like even if the singer is like Adele, still gonna need vocal production. You don't know vocal production, good luck. So good luck making your vocals in your track sound audible. We don't do vocal production, doesn't mean that crazy fancy delay throws or something. That doesn't mean that. I'm trying to say have to make them thicker and have to make them more better, so they can be heard in the mix. They can keep the attention in the mix, you know. Okay, let's get to the second one, because like I'm a little bit tired. You pitch reverb and call it a day. you don't know how to treat reverb. So you shouldn't be working with the vocalist. Just put a reverb on the vocalist, you're done, right? Good luck with that. So pros put equalizers on the reverbs. They duck the lows, they cut the highs, right? Let me just show you. Sometimes, like most of the time, this is the scenario. They cut the lows, they cut the highs, like they cut the highs. They just do this, right? So this is one. Pro reverb tricks. I'll just like give you, I'm gonna make videos on all of these, but like just to give you an idea. Pro reverb tricks. You just think, well, so far with the other instrumentation, you just put a reverb and call it a day. And you think vocals are doing the same. You think you can just get away with it. You can just put like a reverb and call it a day and get away with it. Well, you can with any other instruments except vocals. So trick the reverb. You're going to see like this curve most of the time. This is like the scenario you're going to see most of the time because they want to duck the mod. They just want to duck the mod sometimes, maybe they want some body of the reverb, maybe. Depends on the case, depends on the situation. Sometimes they're just going to duck the whole thing. They're not going to make this bright, but they're just going to duck this whole thing, right? Sometimes because they just don't want anything. Maybe they're like piano playing here, low, mid-range instruments like playing here. They don't want to like, sacrifice that space, but they still get something here, an Abbey Road trick. Sometimes you're going to see they put like an EQ curve before the reverb or after the reverb. So Abbey Road tricks, you put it before. So again, another confusion that most people think Abbey Road is after. You put this curve after, but actually, again, there's one more thing that most people know wrong. They're wrong about this. You actually put this curve before your reverb. So Abbey Road trick means that you put the curve before your reverb, so the rest of the signal doesn't affect your reverb. So that way your reverb is still clean and it doesn't catch any of the a frequency from the rest. So that way your reverb already sounds clean. But what happens if you don't do it? You're gonna have the stuff here. It's gonna sound more muddy, and that's not really Abbey Road. That means that you're just EQing your reverb out. You're EQing, but your input signal was already there, so you're just EQing that out. So it depends on what your taste is. But Abbey Road, again, you probably think Abbey Road is like you put a curve after your reverb and you call it a day. You're like, oh, I did the Abbey Road trick. Well, I'm the best producer. Wow, look at me. Like, bro, first of all, you don't even know Abbey Road trick. It's just Abbey Road is like you have to put it before the signal. Let me educate you a little bit on I don't want to be rude on this, but it's just the problem is that like only problem is that like I know how much I don't know. But how about you? How about you? Seriously. Because most of the time, this is the feeling that I get from people. Just because, like especially, like, listen, I don't want to get into this, but just because we're girls, like, we don't just do vocals, guys. We know mixing, we know stuff. So don't, like, I personally go read all that stuff. I don't just like see it on a YouTube video and then try to apply it. I read and research about this stuff. I'm trying to learn what is the correct information. So go after the correct information before you think every girl is a vocalist. So how about you do that? Okay, anyways, let's go back. Okay, so again, we like some EQ tricks on the reverb. Some people tune their reverbs, which is crazy. Like you're gonna see, I thought it was like very advanced when I first saw this. I was like, wow, now it makes sense because now I can hear the difference, but before I couldn't. So tune your reverb sometimes, like you put a tuner, what they do? They put like auto tune before the reverb. So that way that reverb signal can be perfectly in tune. That way it won't create the weird mud. It won't distract the listener from, it will just emphasize the original signal. But yeah, these are like some advanced stuff. And sometimes people like widening their reverb. Let's say they put like a wider on the reverb. Why do they do that? Why do you think they want to do that? Because they don't want that mid build up in front of the mono signal, in front of the vocals. They don't want that. They just want them on the side. They're pushing the reverb on the side, so that way the vocal signal can be heard. Right? These are all a pro stuff. And they do like mid-side equalizer. You know, they cut the like sometimes the mids of the reverb, and then they push it to the sides. There's like some weird, like I used to use. I mean, it still works. Sometimes I still use, but do I like actually recommend it? No, it messes up the sound sometimes. But you know, like sometimes it doesn't. Just like try it. But most of the time it's causing phase, so I stop using it. What they do, guys, they push the sides, they clear up the center, so it will get out of the way of the vocal, which is in the middle. They push the punch highs on the sides, like they use all this stuff mid-side. This is like basically a mid-side in a cheap way, right? You can do that mid-side in a cheap way, or if you want to do it in an expensive way, which is not gonna be that much different. But if you're doing like a more expensive way, more better way, you can just always like invest in a tool like this. This is my go-to every day. It says trial here, but I actually paid for it, so yeah, I just have to like get rid of the trial stuff. But yeah, you get the idea, right? So. And what else we can do? Sidechain. So we sidechain the reverb to the signal, to the mono vocal. Or stereo vocal, doesn't matter, main vocal or lead vocal. So we would do this. We use sidechain as a method to duck stuff out of the way of the main signal, which is vocals lives in the mono spectrum, mono in the spectrum, so they duck it out of the way. So another example of this, I'll show you track spacer. And you can also use Soothe, plugin Soothe, but I'm gonna give you like a very basic example. Again, I'm trying to give you like all the information in one section. Okay, so sometimes what they do, they put just track spacer on top of the reverb, so that way reverb still stays there, but they duck the reverb dynamically. And this track spacer plugin has also MS mode, so you can also use this. You can just do this and you can duck the reverb out of the way of the vocals. So this is another advanced way that you can treat your reverbs. Another one, again, I'm trying to give all the pro examples very fast. If you want to deep dive into this, just like go for it, type, find these techniques, use this as like a cheat list and go dive into those. I'll give you one more. So Luca Bertolesi, you can always like Google his name, best mix and mastering engineer. So what he does, guys, this is like a very important trick that I can't believe I'm giving you just right away here. Because like I had to work so hard to find out how he was getting away with all the reverb processing. So what he does, guys, this is so important. So what he does, he takes the lead vocal, right? I'll show you right away. He takes the lead vocal signal, copy, paste. He duplicates, basically, duplicate the lead vocal. Now this signal is your sidechain source, right? Now this is your sidechain source. So he has, besides having all the vocals in the mix, by the way, this guy is the mixing engineer of Diplo, mixing engineer of all these important producers, right? So what he does, again, he duplicates the lead vocal signal, and then he's using that as a GUI. So that lead vocal signal ducks everything. Let me show you in a better way, just to give you a quick example before we finish this one. He is using Prezi. I'll show you right away, so you don't have to stalk the dude. But if you want to stalk, of course, that's the best mix and mastering engineer to stalk. Luca Bertolesi again. So what he does, guys, so once he has one source signal, meaning the copy of the lead vocal, right? So now he's using that as a source material to duck everything out of the way. Let's say he put this on synthesizers and he's using the sidechain mode, and he puts in this and introducing the signal as an input signal, and then he ducks out of the way with Prezi. And then he goes to his pianos, and then he does the same thing. He just grabs the Prezi and he ducks to the same signal, but the amount of ducking is changing each time. Attack and release settings of the ducking is always changing, but the source signal is exactly the same. So just pay attention to that. Have a dedicated vocal ducking signal. Again, this is like the most advanced workflow that I've seen, and I'm sharing with you right now. have a dedicated vocal ducking signal is essential, and I've tested this in the projects that I've worked for. It works like a charm. And each time let's say you're using piano, right? You're ducking the instrument. You can totally decide on Pro C2, guys, on Pro C from FabFilter. You can actually decide how much you're ducking. You could decide attack and release. Like, this is beautiful. Excuse me. So you can decide the knee, you can decide the threshold, so you can customize the amount of the ducking being applied to the secondary instrument, meaning not vocals. Besides anything not vocals. So by the way, he's also using the same thing for the background vocals too. Sometimes he needs to like get the background vocals out of the way of the mono. He is using it to, he is again using ducking. He's even ducking the background vocals. So not only, he's not restricting himself with only the instruments or synthesizers or pianos. So he's also doing this ducking technique for the background vocals. So now you get the idea of how you place, how you treat your reverbs. And he's also, and most important thing that I saw him, all of his reverbs and delays, like he is actually ducking it to the lead vocal. So that's another one. Okay, so now you get the idea on this one. Pro trick for you. Okay, now let's get to the next one. Expecting too much from the vocal signal itself. If you're doing this as a producer, imagine you receive the vocal file, you just put it in your mix, you just expect it to sound great. It's not going to sound great because they're not mixed. They're not fixed, they're not mixed, they're not tuned, they're not time aligned, they are not edited, they are not gain automated, they are not compressed, they are not limited, they are not. Ridiculous, right? You just expect the vocals to sound already great. Wow, good luck with that. So you have to understand why they don't sound great, why they don't fit right away, because okay, now this part that I want to talk about, home producers, home vocal trackers, right? So imagine you are like a producer. You get this vocalist you found on TikTok, and now you want to work with this person, right? And then the person sends you the vocals, beautiful. You got a signal to work with. You should be appreciating that signal because most people can't even get that. And most of the producers don't know how to write a song. And when you get a vocalist, make it work. Make it work because that doesn't come often. The ratio is like so, like 5-to-1, something like this. Anyway, so home vocal trackers, right? So these guys don't have preamps. These guys don't have expensive microphones. So, right, let's say they have like Rode NT1, it's the most common scenario. They don't have preamps, they have like Scarlett. Right, this is what they have, right? They just go like straight plug it into the preamp, like you wouldn't even call it preamp, like a Scarlett, right? It's like an interface, audio to digital converter. This is like, guys, this is not a preamp. Please, understand this stuff. This is not this. Yeah, we have like a preamp inside of this little Scarlett thing, right? But this is not a preamp. Yes, it has a preamp. Yeah, it has like a little preamp inside, but how good is that preamp? How good that preamp can affect the signal? How good that preamp can actually make the signal like more fat? It can't. Can it make it more louder? Yeah, but it's just like a trashy loudness that you're gonna get from the input signal. That's not gonna fill those gaps. That's not gonna give you the enough resolution. Like, yeah, you get some resolution, but you can't compare the vocals being tracked at studio. Tracked in the studio. Vocal being tracked in the studio is gonna beat home recording studio vocals. Why? 3 reasons why. Number 1, you get an engineer do the preamp writing for you. What does that mean? You don't even put your time to do the gain writing on the existing signal that you have, But in the engineer, like in the commercial, like studios, actual studios, they have like an engineer, and that engineer is like writing the preamp. Meaning, when you have like a weak signal, they pump up the preamp. They increase the volume, input signal of the preamp. They give more volume, they give more body if you have like a quiet section. But if you're loud, they lower the preamp. So they do preamp writing. That's number one. They get the even signal in the first place. And second, they already have like a good microphones. So good microphone means like capture stuff. Meaning, I'm talking too much on this one, but like, because there's just so much knowledge that you guys are missing. That's why I'm gonna try my best to just give it to you right away, because again, I had to spend so much time to access to this information. So I just want to help out. Come on, ProQ. Okay. First of all, they already have like a good signal going on here, meaning like the signal is bright but not harsh. The signal is full but not muddy. Do you understand the difference? Do you understand how important it is to capture like an already even signal? Most of the time when we get like vocals, the highs are like harsh. Cheap microphones are harsh, guys. Cheap microphones, like you may think they're bright. No, you can't apply any more extra ProQ on them or any more extra processing on them because they're already sounding harsh. So you have to get rid of the harsh. You have to be more skilled to make that vocal work, because they were like recorded cheaply. Like this is how they were recorded, and there's a lack of body. You have to add that body. Some parts that you're gonna have to add that, but how are we gonna add it? It's different for each word. So now you're gonna have to do equalizing for every single word. It's ridiculous. So you have to understand the limitations of the home music producer, or the vocalist, the way they track their voices. That's number two, right? First of all, the preamp writing, we don't get the preamp writing. Nobody's writing the preamp, but I'm singing vocals at home. Right? The second one is like the quality of the microphone. We don't have access to $10,000 microphone. When you have access to $10,000 microphone, this thing, where's that ProQ? This thing is gonna have like shiny, bright top already, and you're not gonna have to do mixing maybe. Do you know why most producers like still using, like some producer like keeping those microphones in their pockets, because they're already cutting through the mix with the beautiful shiny top. I'm talking about Sony C800, guys. And the telephone can, capturing beautiful mids. $10,000 microphones. These are $10,000 microphones, guys. Right? TLM series is really good, by the way. Like, I'm right now speaking to TLM 102. Like, yeah, I use it for the background vocals. Like, I couldn't be happier because it gives me even signal. It doesn't get bright. It's still a little bit, it's not bright. It's not harsh. And it captures the mids nicely. Super even. This microphone is like so even, like I can't even explain. Just go for it, like look for it. Just look at the frequency spectrum. Look at on the spectrum how microphones behave. Different microphones. Okay, that's number two. Second, so we don't do the preamp writing. We don't have the even signal to start with. We have cheap microphones. Cheap microphones are harsh, not bright. When you put them bright, they're just like harsh. But you want them to cut through the mix, so you put them even more bright. Now it gets even more harsh. Now you have to put like extra saturation to make it more audible. And now it gets what? It gets even more harsh. So it's hard. So you need to be more skilled, or you need to get rich and work with the best vocalists. Not the best vocalists. You need to work with people who have their own home studio setup, who have their preamps, who have their compressors, the hardware compressors, who have their stuff, who have treated room. Because you know what happens when you're singing loud, you capture all the room resonances. What happens when you capture the room resonance? That's just sticking to your voice. And what happens when you remove that resonance? What happens, guys? Let me tell you what happens when you remove that resonance from the vocal signal. That, by the way, that's like sticking to your original vocal signal. When you remove that, you're killing the vocal too. So you should understand these limitations that home vocal trackers, they don't have the treatment. They don't have the vocal booth. They go ahead, make their closets like a vocal booth, and then all they do is to capture more. unwanted lowness. Like that's all. That doesn't even help it. And they capture more resonances. They're trying their best. So you have to understand like the struggles they have to go through. You have to understand the audio issues. Again, you may not have many of these audio issues if you have the quiet vocalists. But if you have a loud vocalist with a lot of character, you're gonna have these issues. You're gonna have resonances all over the place. And there's some solutions for that. I use like something like that. I have like a half treated room. I use something like, this thing, C Suite Pro, say ducking the background noise from my voice and attenuates the room noise and all that stuff. But I cannot use it in 2 different modes. So this one is ducking the noise, and if I just put it in a room, yeah, that's gonna duck the room. So you understand, right? So it's a little bit like we're trying our best to capture the cleanest signal, which is not that easy. So you have to understand we're gonna have those resonance issues, and your job to find those resonance issues. Your job to find and fix those. And we have like tools like Ozone. Let me show you. Sometimes what they do. Ozone. It's very crazy, but let's say, like, where's that? Just to give you extra example, guys. So that way you can see everything in one video. So what they do when they're the resonant, they use like RX D reverb. I'm gonna show you that too, but like, sometimes they use this one in a transient sustain mode because they want to duck that stuff, but they want the vocals to be still there, but they need to get rid of resonance. Like we have to go, like you're gonna have to go through all that stuff, because you have to like we have limitations when you're recording vocals, and resonance happens when you have an untreated room. And who can afford a treated room? Then you're gonna have to find people who can afford to have a treated room, record in a treated room. Then you should be able to work hard and achieve some success. So that way you can work with those type of vocalists. They have their setup in their home. They're working with the record labels already. So good luck with that. Good luck with finding them. Until you find them, my suggestion, just learn to work with vocals. Learn to afford having vocals in your tracks. That's another one. And then what else they do? Again, D-Reverb, RX D-Reverb. They use like D-Reverb plugin. We get rid of the room resonance. This one is nice. I like this one. You can get rid of the resonances, like stuff. You can click on learn, but this one, sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. So you define the reverb, you get rid of the reverb, room resonance. Or you can use C Suite. Try your tricks. Try your tricks if you're working with a vocalist who is singing at home with a minimal gear, and then you're gonna have to but the good thing is that you're gonna gain a lot of skills if you don't do that. Maybe this is like a super harsh video for you. I know it is, but I promised myself that I was gonna be very honest in this video, and I don't care how many people I lose. I never care. Like I lived so far, without any help and support. So it's okay if I lose you. I don't care. I'm gonna be honest anyways. This is another reason you expect too much from the vocal signal itself, and you don't improve your skills. And that's one of the reasons you don't deserve to have vocals in your trim. That's another reason you can't afford to have it, because you didn't develop the skills, or you don't have enough money to work with studios or studio vocalists who already have their setup and everything. So they will just deliver like a shiny top vocal for you, so that way you don't have to do the work. Which one are you gonna be? If you can't afford it, then you have to make it work. Good luck. So, okay, number 9, you're not talented enough to pay. Again, super harsh video. I told you guys I was gonna be harsh. Again, if I lose you, I don't care. I lost already so much. So at this point, I really believe I love people. I love helping people. I won't lie to them. I ignore to lie to them. I will encourage them, but I won't. It's just dishonest. I won't be able to lie to them. I like them. There's some producer I really like working for, but I'm tired of lying. Like, I'm tired of explaining this stuff one by one. Like, And I know this is going to happen in the future too. So that's why I decided to just make this one, at least to just, save the industry a little bit. Anyway, so you're not paid, meaning it's okay. Sometimes I'm not able to pay for stuff too. Guys, music business is so hard, right? So of course we want to collaborate with vocalists, right? When we collaborate, no pain, right? So you get it for free. But when you pay, that's professional. So you can be the boss. You're the boss. You're the boss of the work because you paid for it, right? Now you expect the quality here. You can expect, right? You can expect to have that quality from that voice, from that in a tuning wise, in frequency spectrum wise, in the quality, like resolution of the vocals, the input vocals, the rise, all this stuff. But if you're collaborating, meaning you're not paying, so don't expect vocalists to just give you the best stuff because you're not paying. Don't expect that quality. Make it work, right? Make it work. There are going to be situations that you're going to have to make it, vocalist is going to have to make it work to get the gig. And there are going to be some situations that you're going to have to make it work to get the gig, to be able to have a chance to work with the vocalist or for the producer. Never matters. But what I'm trying to say that collaboration, meaning I work with you, right? That's I work with you mindset. But this one, I work for you. Right? That's the type of. So this vocalist is not working for you, right? You're not paying. I'm sorry. Collaboration. This person is. I'm sorry. I'm a little bit confused. So when you collaborate, I work with you, meaning my resources free for you. Don't expect quality, right? If I'm a vocalist, this is what I tell, right? I wouldn't tell this, of course, but this is the producer should expect from me. Hey, this is my home setup. This is what I can do. Don't expect me to do my tuning, my alignment, my vocal mixing. Because if I can already mix my vocals sound great, and if I'm writing the song, if I'm doing all the vocal work, then I can just easily go find another producer. How easy, you have no idea how easy it is to find producers, guys. But it's so hard to find vocals. So you have to understand this, that you're collaborating, you're not paying, then don't expect the quality, make it work. If you don't want to do it, then pay. Then vocalist is going to be hey, I've worked for you, bro. You are the boss. You expect quality. You pay for it. I'll give you that quality because you paid for it, because I could afford all this stuff, gear, including treatment, and I got a good voice. You get value, you pay, right? So if you're not paying for it, right, then don't expect quality. But if you are super talented, right? If you're super talented, you can make this person sound great. That person is gonna give you their vocals for free. If you're not talented enough to pay, right? You're not talented enough in your production, means that the vocals are gonna suck, probably, because you're not talented enough as a producer. You think you put 2 synths, you grab some loops from synthesizers, call yourself a producer, right? Amazing, I do that too. So don't get me wrong, we're in the same boat here. But difference is that I respect the vocalists that I work for, because I know the audio signal that we receive is rare. How often are you gonna get that? And we have all the tools to make it work, right? We have all the tools. These guys gave us all the tools to make it work. So why are you still chasing Adele? Just make it work. Just pick an independent singer. Make it work for them. Why everybody wants to work with Lady Gaga? Why everybody wants to work with Christina Aguilera? Why everybody wants to work with Adele? Why? Stop chasing talent. Be the talent. Make it work. You're chasing talented vocalists. Who cares? You can't even mix their voices. If you can't even mix their voices, why do you care? Why do you keep chasing super talented singers? Don't chase talented singers. Stop chasing them. Because even if you have them, you're not going to be able to make it work. 100% honest talk here, guys. You know, I help out some producers. Like, I send them, like, I know a few singers, like, yeah. And then the girl sings. She's like a beautiful voice, like top voice. I mean, I love her voice, but she doesn't have the like home setup. She has a home setup equipment, but her voice is beautiful. The passion is there. The songwriter is there. And this couldn't make it work. Because it doesn't know, yeah, I'm not going to get into that. So, okay, you're not talented enough in the production-wise. Production includes vocal production, vocals. If your production includes vocals, mean that you have to be good at vocals too. You have to be good at handling vocals too. And if you're not talented enough to handle those vocals, then your vocals are gonna suck in the track. And that's one of the reasons. That's number 9 reasons that. Reason number 9 that you don't deserve to work with vocals. So good luck. Okay, lack of listeners perfect. Yeah, we actually talked about this a little bit. This is the last one, guys. Lack of listener perspective. So let's say you're like a music producer, right? You're thinking, oh, I have my beat, I have my 808 kicking, bro. I didn't even have to tune my 808. I'm freaking great. I don't have to do extra work. I've got my 808 done. Like some producers are like so impressive that as soon as they think they can like mix the 808 with a kick, they think they're the king. And my reaction is like, bro, would you like to tune it first? Because you clearly can't hear that. Would you like to tune it? You just grab some 808 sample from Splice and put like some kick on under it, and you picked the wrong kick, by the way. You didn't do correct space carving for the kick probably. Like, you think you just got the best beat now. No, like your lack of objectivity. Now you're biased to your own product. Right? Now you think like, oh my God, like it's beautiful music, beautiful beat. Oh what? Come on, the vocals? Come on, man. Just vocals, give me that. And then what happens? You receive the vocals and put it in a mix. You don't put any you don't put any EQ. Because you don't know how to equalize vocals, right? And then you put like, you don't know how to compress, you don't know how to limit, you don't know how to saturate. You just put it all over the place. Probably you don't gain this. You don't have this experience yet, right? And you're biased to your own product. You just put everything loud. This is the most thing that I always hear this guys. Like, imagine you're a saxophone player, right? You put saxophone too loud, and the vocals are like sax, right? Right? You put saxophones too loud, and the vocals are not being heard, right? Or you put the pads. You're a keyboard player. You keyboard play nonstop in the arrangement. Right? Because your keyboard play, just because you're a keyboard player, you want keyboard to play in the entire arrangement. Give it a break. Give this girl a break. This girl is a singer trying to be audible. Like, you're putting the same spectrum in the arrangement. You don't create that room in the arrangement for vocals. You're a lack of listener's perspective. What do you think the listener is going to think? Are they going to hit skip or are they going to keep listening? They're going to hit skip. You're losing the perspective, you're biased to your own product, and you want your kick and bass to hit hard all the time. You don't want to put any automation because you want everything to be heard at the same time. This is the one issue that I see a lot of producers make. Like, yeah, I wouldn't say a lot of, but yeah, everything is every time. Time is at the same time. This is ridiculous. You just want everything to be heard. All at the same time. All at the same time. Why? Why do you think all of these instruments need to be deserve to be heard all the time, non-stop in the track? Why? Oh, because you grabbed them from Splice? You grab them from Splice and you can't give up. Makes you feel like, oh, you produced this. You grabbed the loop from Splice. Keeping you honest here, guys. You grab the loop from Splice. You grab a synthesizer. They grab synthesizer loops, right? They grab atmosphere loops. They grab drum loops. They put all these loops on top of each other. All of them sound harsh, by the way. And then they're like, oh yeah, produce this one. And then you don't want to do the rest, right? You want everything all at the, heard all at the same time. Means you're a producer, you want your product to be heard, and you want vocals to be just something. And then what happens? You're not gonna succeed. You're gonna, yeah. Because as soon as, again, it comes to the same point, as soon as you have vocals in the track, vocals has to be king or the queen. Make it work. If you don't want to make it work, then you don't know how to approach mixing vocals or mix for vocals. Because you're gonna have to do that. You're gonna have to mix for vocals most of the time. And you're gonna have to, I'm gonna go back to my first point, intentional produce. Be a producer, right? If you want vocals so bad in your track, then be a producer in the beginning with the ending mindset and tell that, oh, my vocals are gonna be in that area. Am I gonna be masking them by putting this bright synth that makes no sense? I grabbed from Splice anyways. Like, what is it? What is it? Which one is gonna be? Intentional producing or this? The producer with lack of listener's perspective. Which one you want to do? You decide. It's all up to you. Again, I did this video not to get things out of my chest, because I have no desire to yeah, I would love to help people, of course, but I have, you can't, most of the people that they can't be coached already. They can't be trained. They can't be advised. They can't be coached because of the Dunning-Kruger effect. Again, they don't know how much they don't know. So my intention of making this video, hope that some of you guys wake up and become a better producer with a better mindset next day. Like, hope you guys manage it, because I'm in two different boats with the vocalists and with the producers. But you have to know, even when I was only produce song, I had no vocals in my tracks, right? I was still intentionally, imagine if I had vocals, that I was still intentionally making some adjustments for the vocals in case I'm gonna have vocals, the intentional thinking. So I understand most of you guys, if you're watching this right now, if you're a producer, never recorded your vocal before, you don't know how hard it is, right? So when I didn't record vocals, I didn't know how hard it is either. So I understand. But you always want to keep the respect, because you never know how much you don't know until you experience it by yourself. You never know. So don't fall for this Dunning-Kruger effect. You don't know how much you don't know. You think you know everything just because you don't know anything, So again, this is not, I'm not trying to coach you. I'm not trying to advise you. Take what you need to take from this video, and hopefully next day you understand why you don't deserve to have vocals in your tracks. Hopefully you understand one day. And then that's just going to make you a better producer. If you get anything from this video, I literally try my best to show you multiple stuff just to get you in the mindset that, hey, those vocals deserve love in the mix. So make it work. You have all the tools now. You have all the stuff to Google. Just type them, right? Just all this stuff, type it on Google, start researching, ask ChatGPT. Even ChatGPT knows the placement of the vocals in the mix. Even ChatGPT knows, guys. So, and then it's very interesting that when you receive tracks, ChatGPT will know importance of the vocals in the songs, and the producer written, and then they just blame for AI to create impressive music. Why do you blame AI? Guys, I listened to that stuff, all of these AI generated music, all of them, I swear to God, go listen, guys. Go listen what people do, AI music, right? Now you hate that AI music, right? This AI figured it out. It made space for the vocals, and you didn't. You didn't do your work. You didn't do your work, and AI did it. And you can't come to me and hate AI because AI did a better job, and you just resist. You have the human ego, you have the producer ego. You shouldn't even have producer ego. You never played instrument, you never played keyboard, you never played the bass, you never played any actual real instrument, you never recorded any of these. You don't know how difficult it is to deal with the live recorded signal. You just grab it from Splice and you call it a day. You think you're a producer now. Amazing. Great. I wish I lived in that life, I wish I was that lucky. Yeah, I had to learn everything, all of these like recording stuff, like ridiculous. Anyways, guys, so take care of yourself. Hopefully this video is gonna piss a lot of people probably, but I'll just go now. Take care.